Welcome you all. In this video, we are going to see about Spring Startup Project and Restful Web Application Part 3, that is using JSP pages. We are going to interact with the JSP pages from our Restful Web Application. Already the Part 1 and Part 2 covers with the Restful Web Application with get mapping, post mapping, delete and put mapping. Those things are covered with simple JSP pages without any interaction from the RESTful web services. And now in this video, we are going to interact with the web services like we will have the front end design in JSP pages for our student class, and all the three attribute values we will be picking from the front end. Then we will be assigning it back to the student Pojo class through RESTful web service. And then the assigned class will again be retrieved back from the map student. That means map student will hold the object of students. So all the data in the map student is being retrieved back, and the retrieved data is again sent back to the JSP page to display. Let me get into the IDE. Let me to start with the same application which I had done with part 1 and part 2. The application name is Restful 1, and in this application we are having a package. In the package we already have the main class for the Spring Boot application and one controller and also the student Pojo class. Now in this controller we had a static block which will load before the main class, like main function executes, and it will initiate the value in the map student, and then the initiated value from the map student can be retrieved and printed from this get mapping student. This will print the student data in the web browser. Similarly, we return already the post mapping, delete mapping and the put mapping. Now our objective is to go with this post mapping data. We are going to interact with the JSP pages for insertion of student Pojo class values. Let me first create one get mapping method which will accept the which will accept the URL like JSP insert. When the URL is JSP insert, it will trigger the below function. I had set the return type as string because we are going to send the JSP page name as a string from here. I will say the JSP page name as insert.jsp. In fact, I have to say the JSP page name and also the path of JSP folder, because it will by default look into the web app folder which is under your project. You can able to see in the left side src main web app. So by default your controller will look into the web app folder for the JSP pages, but we had created the JSP pages inside the JSP folder inside the web app. That means we have to specify the prefix as the folder and subfolders, and the suffix as the extension of the file. These two can be eliminated from, that means by adding two statements in your src main resources application.properties. We are writing spring.mvc.view.prefix as the JSP folder and the suffix as .jsp file. So when you say return insert, it will try to load the JSP page under JSP folder as insert.jsp. And you have not said at response body like this. If you say at response body, it will take this string to the browser window instead of searching for the JSP pages. Just I'm removing this at response body, so it will automatically search for the JSP pages. Now I need a JSP page. I will right click the JSP folder and I will go to new. Since I'm working in STS4 IDE, I'm not finding the JSP here. I can go to others. I will type JSP, then I can able to find JSP file here. So with this help, I can able to create the JSP files. Initially, you may not get the JSP files like this. At that point of view, you have to go to help, Eclipse Marketplace, and then you have to just type JSP over here in the top. You will get Eclipse Enterprise Java and Web Developer Tool 3.27. You can install it by clicking it here in the install button. You will be initially getting install button here. So once you installed it, you have to reset your IDE. Then you could able to find right clicking the JSP folder, new, go to others, and if you type JSP, you will get the JSP file here. Just create the JSP file in the name of insert. Once the JSP file is created, you can able to note down one error is appearing on the top. So this is because of some dependency issues. You have to go to your Maven repository. So in the Maven repository, just you have to type servlet-api. That means mavenrepository.com, and then you have to search servlet-api. So here you can able to find javax.servlet-api. The latest version, you pick it. Copy the javax.servlet-api and then just go to your pom.xml. Add this dependency. Save it. And after saving, since it is at a Maven level, you have to update the Maven project. Once you updated, you can able to notice the error in the left side, insert.jsp, is been gone. Just first you type this is a JSP page for insert. Let me check whether it is running or not. I'm just typing one content here and the title as insert JSP page. And once it is done, I will go back to my controller. It seems to be fine, so I have to run it. Right click the project, run as Spring Boot app. It will indicate that application started at the end because we had printed in system.out.println like that in the main file. So now we have to go to the browser. So here, just giving 8080 is going to the default location. Now I have to give JSP insert. This is the URL mapping I had given in get mapping. When I give JSP insert, it is showing this is a JSP page for insert. That means my JSP page is perfectly loading. Now I have to get back to my IDE and I will stop the server. Now I need to pass the student object to the insert page. That means the empty object. And in the insert page, I need to match each and every text box to the attributes of student Pojo class. So how to do that means you have to create a model object M. Just after typing model, click near model and give control space. It will suggest you can able to import the model. Once you imported the model, you can able to add attribute. That means you are going to pass the things in the name of command, and what you are going to pass is the new student object. Once you had passed this to the insert page, just go to the insert.jsp. Here you need to use one tag lib. To use that, you have to say like this, tag lib. That means page directives tag, then tag lib URI equal to from where you are loading the tag lib, and then the prefix for the tag lib. I will say the prefix for the tag lib as F, because I'm going to load the tag lib for the form based tags. Now I'm going to load the tag lib from http://www.springframework.org/tags/form. So this is the location I'm going to load my tag lib with the prefix F. So with this tag, I can create a form F:form. Whenever I say F:form, it will indicate I'm creating the form tag under the tag lib. So the definition of the form tag will be on the specific tag lib. It is not a regular HTML form tag. So similarly, I have to close F:form tag. And in action, I have to say where to go. I can say here something like save, and then the method equal to, I can say it is by the post method because I'm inserting the value, and inside the form I will have the ID value for my student Pojo class. This is a text box, so input, normally input will create a text box, but F input you can make, so that input box will be from a specific URI. Now path equal to, you can say the attribute name of your student Pojo class. Already, if you remember, I had passed the empty object of the student Pojo class. So that attribute name, I am using it here. So it's a self-closing tag. Similarly, name colon F colon input path equal to the attribute name of the student Pojo class, and then CGPA colon, again it is F input box, and the path mapping is the attribute name of your student Pojo class. CGPA. Now I need to have one submit button. This is a normal submit button. Input type equal to submit and value equal to save. So it's a self-closing tag. Now I had three text boxes which is mapped to three attributes of my Pojo class, and I'm having a submit button. When I click on the save button, I will get this action save in the URL with the post method. Remember, the action is save and the method is post. So I need to receive this data in my controller now. So I will go back to my controller now. So in the controller, already I am having a post mapping here. So this post mapping is for slash student. I will change it to slash save. So my post mapping is mapped to slash save. And this time my post mapping is getting the response as a form input. So instead of the response request body, you have to use the annotation. You have to use the annotation like at model attribute, at model attribute. Then you have to say the name of the model attribute. Just say yes to you, some name, and that in that name it will retrieve the model attribute, and then it will set to this S. Then you can use that to put it into the map object. After putting into the map object, actually we are displaying that in a response body with a new student value. Let me check into that, how the output will be if I run the program. Just I will right click the file, run as, and Spring Boot app. So it has been started. Now I'm going to the browser. Here I will give JSP insert. Now you can able to see I am having three text boxes here. Okay. So I need to give the value for the text for the third student. Actually, two student is been already in the map object. So I will be giving the third student value 3 and then my name, and then I will say 9.6 something. I will click on save. Immediately after clicking on the save, in the browser URL, you can able to note the changes on the top address bar. I'm clicking on the save now. See, now slash save is appearing in the browser URL, and then you can able to retrieve the data which are having three student values in the map. Now the data is being inserted with the JSP page. Now what we will do, we will go back to our IDE. The thing is, I'm displaying the student map in the browser directly from the controller. Instead of that, I need to take it to the JSP page. After inserting, I need to take it to the JSP page, and in the JSP page, I would like to print the student value, that means student map. For that purpose, once again, we need to have model M because we need to add the attribute. Now M dot add attribute. You can add the attribute in the name of like, in fact, without adding the attribute also we will try it in that way. Just I'm removing this. First we will try in that way, then we will look into this. Now I need to return to a JSP page. Okay. So how to return to a JSP page instead of going to the browser? You have to remove this response body annotation. So I'm removing this response body annotation, and I will say return something like show, and this is a string value. So my return type of this function is going to be the string value. Now it will look for the show.jsp page. I will stop the server. It is running, so I stopped it. Then I will go to the JSP folder. I will create a new JSP file called show.jsp to show the student list. So in this JSP file, I can use the page directives to import. You have to use page also, page import. You can import the things here. So what you are going to import is the package name. You have to say com.example dot demo dot what you package you are like to import, like what is the class name. Now app controller I'm importing. Now after importing app controller, I can able to access all the variables of app controller, including the static variables. That is the map object I'm speaking about. Now I need to print the map object values. That means I need to loop it. For looping it, I will use the scriptlet tag. So inside the scriptlet tag, I will use for, that for each kind of loop. Actually, you will get the map object values. That means in map object, you are having key value pair. The values of those map object is nothing but the student object. Student object or the values of the map object. Now, I will say student space yes colon the map object. App controller is a class dot. I need to access the map object called student dot values. It's a function. So now student dot values will give you exactly different object of the student, and that will be assigned in a student yes. But you have to import student yes as well, because student yes is also from a different class. So I'm just importing student class. After importing student class, I'm just making a for loop for student s colon app controller dot student dot values, and I'm opening the for loop. I will close the for loop separately with a scriptlet tag. You may wonder why I'm closing like this separately, because in between I can write other HTML tags or other JSP tags, whatever I want. So the for loop is been begin and end. So in between the for loop, I'm going to write the expression tag which will print the values directly in the HTML page. So in the expression tag, I will try to print S. That means the student object. Let me run and see what is going to be printed in this. But before that, I will just say some content in the top. This is student list, and then two break tags I will have. And then inside the for loop also, after printing each student, I will have a break tag. Now let me run and see what is happening. You can also directly call this page. You have to go to the controller, and how to directly call to this page is like you can have you are already having a get mapping called student. Just I will replace this to show, and then instead of response body, I will remove that, and I will have a return type as string, and here I will say show. What will happen, it will try to, whenever the URL is saying /show, it will try to search for show.jsp, and for the show.jsp we are not passing any parameter actually, but in the show.jsp we are importing the class and the values associated with the class, and we are trying to loop it and print the values there. We will try that now. I will just right click and run the Spring Boot application. Now the application is running. We will go to our browser and say /show. You can able to see two objects are printing here. That means two student values I'm being having. So now I need to print the actual value instead of the address like this. That means in the student Pojo class, I want to override the toString method. Public string toString is a method where I can return a string value which will be printed when I print the object. So my string value going to have id colon the id value I want. So id plus comma name colon and then the name value I want plus comma CGPA colon and then the CGPA value I want. So I will save it. Now I will refresh my browser. You see how I'm getting ID, name and CGPA values. I'm getting it here. Okay. Now I want to save it first. After saving, I need to get this page show. So how to get to save the value? You have to go to the controller. Here you look at the post mapping. It is having /save. And when the /save will occur, when you say JSP insert, get mapping of JSP insert, the insert page will collect the data, and while you are submitting the form, you will get /save. At that moment, this post mapping /save will occur, and then it will save the data into the map object, and then it will return to the same show.jsp page where you will get 3 values. Now we will try with this JSP insert. I will just replace here JSP insert and I will give the third student value XYZ and then 10. Now I will click on save so that my URL will get changed to save and then my show.jsp will be called. So here you can able to see now 3 student values which are displaying from the show.jsp page. Now the same idea of printing the saved value, we will try to make it in another way. For example, you are having like /show, get mapping /show. In the show.jsp, you are actually trying to import the things like student map in that show.jsp and you are trying to retrieve the value of the student map. Instead of doing like that, I can able to pass the attributes. I can use model space m and I can import the model. I can say m dot add attribute. I will say the attribute name like stu and then the attribute value student. That means the map object. After passing the map object, it will go to the show. Similarly, I will pass from save also, comma model space m and then inside I will say m dot add attribute. In the same name I will say stu is the attribute name, that label, and then student is the value. Now it will go to the show.jsp page with the added attribute called stu. Now I will go to show.jsp page. In the show.jsp page, I actually tried to import app controller here. Now instead of importing the app controller, I will try to access the values here. Instead of saying student.values, I will try to say stu.values. When I say stu.values, it is showing me the error because stu is not directly accessible from here. we had set as a model dot like model object m and m dot add attribute. So how to receive it in the scriptlet tag? We cannot say directly the stu. We have to say request dot get attribute. You are getting the attribute called stu, and whenever you are getting the attribute called stu, you will get that as a object and not as a map or hash map object. Remember, you will get that as a object. Now this object is not having dot values, only the hash map is having dot values function. That means you have to typecast this object into a hash map. First, what I will say, I will make a bracket for this entire one, and for identification I am leaving a space. So now inside this whole bracket I will make a separate bracket for request.get attribute of stu, because this one I am going to do with the typecasting, and the typecasting I'm going to do with hash map. That means I need to import the hash map as well. I can import the hash map from java.util.hashmap. So once I imported, you have to give the generic values there. Integer comma student is the generic value, generic data type. Now this hash map also need to typecast only the student stu. So you are trying to typecast hash map of integer comma student, and you are typecasting request.get attribute of stu. Now you could able to see I had typecasted this. Okay. Now dot values is for the hash map. Then you are getting the s value here. Now we will try to get the value back in our browser by running our Spring Boot application. Already the Spring Boot application is in running. So just I will go to the browser and I will give slash show. I can able to get this. If I give slash JSP insert, I will insert the third student data, and if I click on save, the third student data will be added in the map, and then the map is added in the model attribute m dot add attribute of the third student data included as a student map. Then the student map is passed to the JSP page. In the JSP page, we are receiving that and we are displaying. Now you will get the whole data. This is the second method of getting the data back with the model attribute, right? With this, we will end up the session. Thank you.